And James joins us now live from quarantine in London. We got to ask you just right off the top, how are you feeling, James? You're all right?
Yeah, feeling good. Thank you, Lindsay. This is just a precaution. No symptoms.
Right, of course. All right. We just heard those strong words from the French and British prime ministers. What are they doing to make sure France and Britain don't end up in the same precarious situation as Italy?
Yeah, well, Lindsay, it's actually really interesting. Britain and France, actually Britain and the rest of Europe taking a very different approach to coronavirus. Here in the UK, we have so far had 10 deaths. That's a lot fewer than Italy, but we're told the peak of the virus here in Britain won't come for another 2 months. And so we're hearing now from British officials that there are certain things that they're asking people to do. There are no foreign school trips, for instance. People are being advised, if they're over 70, to not go on cruises. If there are any symptoms, that you should stay at home for 7 days. But crucially, this larger shutdown is not happening in Britain. France, Denmark, Norway, Finland, Switzerland, the list goes on of countries that are imposing much stricter measures. And so Britain is doing something which basically British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says will enable immunity in the long term. He thinks that it will give us some kind of herd immunity, and that would allow the virus to pass through the population and only protect particularly groups that are at particular risk, so the elderly and hospitals. The problem with that, critics will say here in Britain, is that there's no vaccine, and you can actually get this illness more than once. So actually, a lot of people could be at high risk. So a big disparity between what Britain is doing and France. We heard Macron there speaking. Universities are closed, schools are closed. In fact, every single level of this education system all shut down. And these are measures that Europeans are taking across the continent. We'll have to see whether there's a huge divergence in the cases in the weeks and months going forward. One last thing, though, I have to say, it's quite interesting that Donald Trump decided to ban all travel from Europe, even though they are taking these quite extraordinary measures of social distancing, and yet Britain is not doing that. Yet Donald Trump has allowed travel from the United Kingdom. So a lot of questions here about exactly why that happened. Lindsay?
And James, just making sure I heard you correctly, so you can for sure get it more than once?
Yeah, well, that's the advice here in Britain, is that you can get it. There's no vaccine, so you get it again. It's a little bit like the flu. I mean, you can get vaccinated against the flu, get it and not get it one season, but you can get it again. So right. I think the point is that whether or not you can or can't, there's so much uncertainty. Sure. So why would Britain be taking this chance, Lindsay?
Right. Okay, James Longman, we appreciate that. Thank you. And earlier we spoke to a doctor in Milan. He works in one of Italy's largest hospitals for infectious diseases. He describes what he's been seeing in his hospital and what the situation is on the ground there.
For this kind of epidemic, we are forever unprepared. It is impossible to imagine to have the number of beds of intensive care unit sufficient to offer assistance to everybody in such a situation. There is a large quantity of patients, and every 5 minutes probably we have another admission. In other words, there is an imbalance between the need to admit and the possibility to send home a patient. We have also young people with serious disease. Of patients needing assistance should increase at least for another week or two.
It is our best hope that Italy is not a sign of things to come here.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.